All right, Mech Warriors, we're jumping in, analyzing, and looking at the Whitworth. A very, very potent, in my opinion, and a mech that I regularly play. A medium mech that has a lot of potential. But like all medium mechs, that potential, and the Whitworth really pushes it, you can get into trouble really, really fast with medium mechs. And that is the key to understanding this mech and then how we're going to leverage it. And we're going to jump into that. But for those of you new to the game of Armored Combat, I want to summarize just a little bit to help understand and frame this mech. And certainly I've gone into greater detail on my channel here, pushing up Battletech Tactica to the playlist, looking specifically at light, medium, heavy, and assault mechs. So we're going to jump in just a little bit of background framework. Light mechs, you learn very, very fast whether you're in trouble or not, because by the time you get into trouble, you're blown up. You don't have a lot of armor. Speed is what keeps them alive. The various bug mechs, Locust, Wasp, Stinger, you need to keep moving. That's what keeps you alive. So by playing light mechs exclusively, you learn the ins and outs very, very fast. Yes, there are a few that fall outside of that spectrum, like the urban mech. Irby's a mech in himself, but for the most part, you need to stay alive. Now we jump in on the other side, heavies and assaults. And I'm condensing that a little bit. Heavies and assaults, you've got a lot of armor. You could make a couple of mistakes. We don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to take any damage, but barring something super, super lucky or a headshot, you could take a couple of hits. If you get into trouble, if you extend yourself too much, put yourself out there too much on the hex map, you could take some damage and reposition. Medium mechs, you've got some armor, but not a lot of armor. You've got some good weapons, but not a ton of weapons. It's in that place where you feel like, yeah, I could take on a heavy mech. I could take on a medium to heavy type mech. And maybe you can, but probably you can't. You want a little bit of support. And this reflects into the narrative where we see light mechs, they're the workhorses of the great houses. They're the most numerous mechs. They work as part of a team. They work with combined arms. You're never really going out on your own unless that's a very, very specific custom type mission. So I frame all that because you jump in with the Whitworth and it has some interesting weapons that work together. We start with 2 LRM 10 packs. So right away, we've got some really excellent long-range punch. We could do the indirect thing. Indirect fire, if it's out there to take advantage of. You have redundancy. Redundancy is important in Battletech because the more weapons that you have of the same type or in the same range bracket, that increases your chances of hitting. I mean, it's fire 1 PPC or 3 PPCs. Whatever the numbers are, you're increasing your chances of hitting the more you have. And then the spread with the missiles, 10-pack is kind of that sweet spot. And what I mean by that is, yes, absolutely, I'd like LRM 20 packs. Give me 2, give me 4, but that's a lot of tonnage, that's a lot of weight, that's a lot of missiles. 5-pack is kind of harassment. 15-pack is better. I mean, I'd like a 15 or 20, but we're seeing a 10 on a medium mech, all for under 1,000 battle value, by the way. So we have 2 of these at 10, plus other weapons. So you have some long-range punch, a lot of potential. You've got the redundancy, you've got the matching. Now you also have the medium lasers, 1 in each arm and 1 in the head. That's interesting because that allows you to back up the LRMs. When the LRMs get to that short range and the medium lasers get to that long range, you suddenly have a lot of firepower. Yes, you're going to be pushing heat. You have a lot of firepower. And if you have to move in for the close-in work, you've got 3 medium lasers. Medium lasers in the inner sphere have the triple threat matrix of damage versus heat versus range. They're one of the best weapons in the game when you account for all of that. So here's a medium mech with okay speed, with okay armor for its weight class, jump capability, and you can reach out at long range, and then as you close, support with the medium lasers. If you want to dance and stay away at medium range and someone wants to close to beat those LRMs, well, you're not defenseless. You've got those medium lasers. If you want to play the close end game, right, you're trying to get close to some light mechs or some other targets on the table, and they're trying to stay away out of your medium laser range, well, you've got LRM 10 packs. It also works great as a bodyguard mech, as a support mech, because you can match the rest of your lance mates with the long range firepower and the short range firepower. So a very, very solid mech. Now here's where you get into trouble. It can dish out some decent damage. We want to be aggressive in a good way in Battletech. We want to take advantage of the mistakes our opponent makes. We want to take advantage of certain tactica and opportunities on the table. But it's very, very easy to get in over your head. And we're not talking about a Marauder or a Battlemaster where you have a lot more armor. It is still a medium mech. So in playing it, being careful, very careful not to overextend yourself. Always asking the question, how you prevent that, is asking the question, if I get into trouble, what's my exit strategy? Can I run behind some buildings? Can I get behind some level 3 stuff? Can I run through a forest? What is my exit strategy if things go bad? With looking at the table and also asking yourself, this is what I'm engaged with right now. Are there other opponents on the table that could quickly come into the mix? So if I'm fighting a Lance versus Lance, Whitworth is getting into trouble because I'm up there really extending myself, being hyper aggressive, and my opponent has some warriors or some fast moving hovers. Can they just like zip over in one turn and now put that pain on me? Right? I need to be aware that's a possibility. What's the exit strategy? Looking not to get yourself in trouble. So in terms of playing it, I play it. It's a very, very interesting mech. It's a solid mech. I enjoy playing it. It brings a lot of tactica to the table in smaller battle value games. And again, under 1K. And as part of a Lance, it has something to offer. It's a good mech to put into a Lance if you want both a specialized Lance or a general purpose type Lance. It fits, works, and complements in both.